Welcome back, guys, to another video. My name is Maku.
Hello guys, it's Kobayashi.
And today we're going to do a quick recap of Season 3, Episode 2 of Mob Psycho. Want to go ahead and start off for us, Kobayashi?
So the very first scene, we're at Mob's school. And Mob is part of this group that he's assigned because there's a cultural festival coming up. And his group is specifically assigned to making costume designs for the upcoming festival. The other members of the group, they're really lazy and they just say, oh, let's just put white sheets over ourselves and call ourselves ghosts. But Mob was kind of conflicted. He's like, nah, I feel like we should put more effort into this and actually come up with a better idea.
Yeah, so he was kind of breaking his head the entire day. Throughout this whole episode, you'll actually see it. He was breaking his head the entire day trying to figure out, oh, should I do this? Or what kind of costume should I think of? Or maybe I should do something else. White sheets is kind of basic. And that's what he was just doing the entire episode.
He was just conflicted, trying to think of a better idea because the other members like, well, if you don't like our idea, come up with one yourself. So that's what he's trying to do in the entire day. But moving on to the next scene, we get to see Reigen.
Yeah, so you get to see Reigen, but a little bit before that, you get introduced to a new character. He's a yokai. He's a yokai hunter. He comes and says, oh, this must be the place where it was on TV. So he came and he knocked on Reigen's door. Go ahead and take it out, Kobayashi.
So yeah, he knocks on Reigen's door, and then before knocking on Reigen's door, he's like trying to practice his introduction. He like practices over and over again. And then when he finally knocks on the door and does his introduction, he fails. And then Reigen just looks at him all weird. Like, oh, are you a client or something?
Yeah, like, do you need something? And he was just talking to his assistant at the moment. And he was like, oh, I have a client. You could just wait for a second. And he said, no, it's very urgent. And then he gave this prolonged speech with very confusing words for Reigen.
But then after Reigen's other client finished, the yokai hunter comes back. And Reigen thought he would leave, but the yokai hunter stays. And then they talk about, oh yeah, so do you mind if we go yokai hunting?
Yeah, so he asked if he can go yokai hunting. Reigen was not
skeptical.
Really. He was not really all in for it. But something changed his mind because what ended up happening, the yokai said, I'll offer you compensation. And it was 1,000,000 yen. But Reigen didn't believe it was 1,000,000 yen. He thought it was just a deck of cards or an eraser. He thought it was fake, essentially.
He thought it was fake money, essentially.
Funny thing though is that it wasn't. So when he saw that it was actually 1,000,000 yen, he was astounded. And he said, I'll take the job, I'll slay anything you want me to do. So that's what he ended up doing, and for a few more scenes, you will get to see them just yokai hunting the entire day. He starts marking off places on the map where they're hunting, and they end up falling into this one building.
A little bit before as well, Mob also joins, and then the yokai hunter's like, oh yeah, sorry, no children involved. And then Reigen's like, oh no, he's capable, he can come. And then they finally arrive at the final destination, where it's it looks like a very eerie building, abandoned building. They enter, and then the yokai hunter notices it's like, oh yeah, this is the building. Because the previous buildings were duds, where nothing happened. This is the building where there's actually yokais. Right. The reason why the yokai hunter came to the city because he knew that the yokai king was gonna get revived. And when they're at this building, they see the yokai king and his 100 army and his 4 great generals.
But at first, Reigen was really skeptical. He was still skeptical at this point. He thought he was just a cosplay player. And it turns out he wasn't, because he ended up seeing an actual yokai per se. And it was quite interesting because the yokai actually has some abilities. Because to be quite honest, he didn't look like the guy that would have any abilities. He thought he was just, like I said before, he thought he was a cosplayer. So that's when, I believe his name is Surazawa. He ended up saving the yokai because the yokai was not that strong. It took him 3 days and 3 nights, as he said in the anime, to defeat just one yokai. And this was just a regular yokai. So Surazawa just finitoed it with just one strike. And
then Mob came into the mix, and then Mob and Surazawa just taking on the whole army by themselves. And then the yokai hunter's like, wow, they're really strong. And then Reagan joins in the mix with his special attack, the Salt Splash.
Yeah. He was just throwing salt around. He said, I'm just going to weaken these for you guys because you guys are a little too powerful. So he just threw a bunch of salt. Yeah, just to make sure that he's involved.
And then the 4 great generals of the yokais appear with the Yokai King. And he's like, wow, at least you guys can take care of my minions. But can you take on the 4 generals? And they did.
Yeah.
They wiped the floor with them.
Yeah, it wasn't really a challenge. To be quite honest, like I said in the beginning, Ma wasn't even paying attention. He was just kind of just in his own thought, just thinking what he can do for the school festival. So he wasn't even paying attention to the fight. This was extremely easy for both of them.
Once they finish the 4 generals, the king comes. But they don't even show the fight with the king. It just goes to the next scene where the king
is decapitated and splattered all over the floor.
Essentially. But while he's decapitated and splattered all over the floor, Bob finally comes to a resolution.
Yeah, so he finally got an idea of what he wants to be. Or not wants to be, but what he wants the group to portray. So he wants the group to be a yokai. And thankfully enough, he finally got an idea off of that. So it wasn't really a waste of a trip.
And specifically, it's the Yokai King.
And then it cuts to all 4 of them just walking down the sidewalk. And Mob was just telling Reagan, okay, I'm gonna leave for the day. And Reagan told him, oh, didn't you want to ask me something? And Mob said, no, I figured it out. And Reagan just was he made this face of shock because he figured something out on his own. Because he wants Mob to depend on him. But he's now figuring stuff on his own. And yeah, that's pretty much what ended up happening for episode 2. But towards the end, there was actually a scene where the big broccoli just ended up actually sprouting on even more on the bottom. I don't know what that's going to entail later on in the future, but that's pretty much what happened there. In any case, guys, this has been Season 3, Episode 2 of Mob Psycho. If you have any anime you would like us to talk about in specific, please let us know in the comments down below. And as always, my name is Maku.
Kobayashi.
And thank you